Hello, my dear. How are you?
Hi, Salvador. So wonderful to see you and to see you outside of a work context,
I
where
know.
we get to just chat.
Thank you.
You know why I called you, right? I called you because I think you have a rich and inspiring story. There are people who will be watching this who can find energy for their own journey, right?
Yes.
I mean, I work with many different people, but I have to say that your story is one of the most enduring to me, enduring like heart. I should say Salvador was a client, but became a friend, right?
That is true.
I hope you will come and visit me.
Thank you so much.
And so I have a great admiration for your path.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
So tell us a little bit about how it started.
So I am from Mexico. I was born and raised over there. I become a dentist in Mexico in 2018. That's when I completed everything. And then I wanted to pursue something else, something more. Then I decided that it was a possibility to come to the US and pursue a advanced education.
Mhm.
I was young.
And let's just let our audience know that it's not like you come from a family of dentists
No,
who paved the way for you.
no. I grew up in a farm. My parents always worked in a farm, so I always had that option of being a farmer or doing something else.
Mhm.
My dad specifically pursued us to pursue something else by putting us to work. I've been working since I was 10 years old. I remember myself driving a tractor. At first, it was fun, a little child driving a tractor. But as I grew up, the load of work was increasing also.
How did you realize there was something called dentistry, that you could do that instead of helping your dad at the farm forever?
So here's the point. I have six siblings. One of them is a doctor, the other is a doctor. I got a sister who's involved in the biochemistry field. I grew up seeing my family being involved in the medical field, but I didn't want it to be a doctor. I was trying to switch to something else. I was volunteering for a family dentist. I saw the impact he could change the life of someone by restoring a front tooth. It was a great impact. I think was one of the things that made me decide to go for dentistry instead of
Mhm.
going for medicine.
Mhm.
I decided that when I was 14 years old, 15 years old, and ever since then, I've been just working hard to be
Mhm.
one of the
Yeah,
best.
including like right now. You were just telling me
Yes,
how you take no breaks,
no
even though you
break.
could. Yeah, no breaks
No
because the
breaks.
hands have to be ready
Yes.
for work. Yeah. How did the United States come into your horizon?
One of the reasons was because I got the opportunity to come here. I had the options to do my specialty or pursue my advanced education in Mexico, but I wanted more. I wanted to do something different, more meaningful. I was pursuing a better training. I was always inspired to be the best, to be able to offer a better quality of treatments for my patients. I think that was one of the main reasons that led me to migrate to the States. Right away after my dental school, I also complete 1 year of advanced education in Prosto. After I complete that, I came into the dilemma of staying in Mexico or
Mhm.
moving to the
Mhm.
States. My dad says, if you want to pursue that, go ahead. I just want to tell you that it's not easy. My dad has been working in the States and he knows about the life here. This is
Mhm.
stressful. So it takes time for somebody that has never been here to adjust.
Yes, yes, the
I didn't know
culture.
that at the beginning. I wanted to pursue something more. I left my family. I left my social life. It was really hard.
If I recall correctly, you came and then the pandemic came after, right? That had an impact, I think, on your adjustment to the country.
Yes, it was
Yeah.
around that time. So there's another problem that I had to face. And I think it was one of the most challenging things. I had to learn English from zero.
Yes.
Uh,
This is
you-
part of what I want people to hear. You can come and learn here.
yes, that's what I did when I was in Mexico. I didn't have the opportunity to learn English. For some people, it's easy to learn a language. For me, it was
Mhm.
extremely difficult.
Were you surrounded by English or were you surrounded by Spanish and maybe you had to make the conscious decision to not speak Spanish. How did you deal with that?
Yes, you had to make the conscious decision of not speaking Spanish. I started in California. I decided to go to a program, English as a second language. You can find it in any college in the
Yes,
States.
exactly. Community
So,
college, was that what it would be called?
yes, but
Right.
also I was having some other classes in other institutes, and the rest was just my part. Reading, studying, grammar, how to read, how to write, how to speak. But it took me a year and a half to be a little fluent, to be able to express myself. And at the same time, I was studying for the dental national boards, which is another big part that you have to complete to be able to apply to a program here in the States.
I ask you, how did you study for it?
By my own. I found people in the way. I was just looking in Facebook, YouTube, everywhere, just trying to find the right path, how to become licensed here to practice dentistry. There is different paths that you can follow. I found some people that helped me to get in the path, but I had to make my own research to find out the right path, what I wanted to do, how I wanted to do it, how should I do it.
And so you passed the test,
I passed both of them.
the board.
Yes.
Yeah,
And
and then
then
you have to take the TOEFL at some point, I imagine.
yes. Oh my gosh, that's hard.
Tell people about that, because I see a lot of people doing all the work, all the preparation, all the documents. And then, oh, I just need a TOEFL. And then they're stopped at that stage because it is not as easy as it seems, right?
No, I would say that it was easier for me to clear the dental national boards than clear the TOEFL test.
That's saying
That probably for some people will be different. I'm saying this because I had to learn English from nothing. The problem with the TOEFL test is you have to write an essay. You have certain amount of time to complete each task. It's one of the most challenging part. Manage the time and came with ideas and write something meaningful that will score high. I took the TOEFL test several times. Certain programs ask you for a certain percentage, certain score. Others are really high. Others are, I'll say, decent.
So you were trying to get a higher score so you could increase the number of programs you could apply to.
Correct, because you're competing with so many people from all over. Some of them are really competitive in that aspect.
Yeah, the world and people whose first language is English.
Correct.
And I think sometimes people don't realize that these dental schools don't have a few months of preparation for non-English speakers.
Yeah.
If you go to college, you can have up to a year where you're just learning how things work, how to write papers, how a university works. The program that you got into, the programs you were applying to, have none of that. It's like you hit the ground running.
Correct. You had to learn it by yourself.
Let me ask you something. I recently had somebody contact me, and even in the intake question, the person was making some simple mistakes. And I took the liberty of saying, I think it would be good for you to do the TOEFL first, and then we should talk again.
Yes, that's how it is. You gotta master the language first. You gotta communicate. You will be dealing with patients, with professors, with people. So you gotta be able to express yourself in a way that other people will understand you.
Including in the interview, right?
Yes. Ooh, the interview. Yes, you gotta prepare yourself for your interview. Luckily, I found you. You helped me a lot with that part with the interview. You should practice it. You should be able to know what to expect on the interview. You helped me a lot in that part because most of the time we have the idea, but we don't really know until we are in that chairs with two professors in front of you asking you questions. And my English is not the best, but I'm still learning.
It really is, yes. So that's the language part that I think a lot of people sometimes don't give enough thought to, right? Maybe they understand, they can speak daily English in their lives, say in Florida, but what you're talking about here is another level. Besides knowing the language, besides having an understanding that you needed to take the integrated national board exams, What were some other things? How do you even begin to figure out where you might want to go to school? What kinds of programs? How did you make sense of these loads of information that was coming at you?
Again, it's a lot of information. I think when you know what you want, you are one step forward. In my situation, I didn't want to go back to the dental school to do the last 2 years. So I wanted to go for a residency program.
Okay, so you knew
Um,
advanced standing was not for you.
I had to read every single board of dentistry of each state to know what are the requirements for foreign trained dentists to get a license in Texas, in Florida, in California. This information is so valuable because every single state has different rules, different regulations, different requirements for people that come from another country and want to practice dentistry. Some states will require you to go back to the school and do the last 2 years of dental school. Others not. If you do a AGD program or a GPR program,
Okay,
you
tell
will be
people
able
what
to
that
practice.
is, because we might have people watching this who don't know. When you say the last 2 years of dental school, you mean something that people call advanced standing, right?
Yes, the
Yes.
CAPIT. And
Tell
that
us what
application is
IAGD means in GPR.
Advanced Education in General Dentistry, and GPR is General Practice Residency. There is two different applications. One is called CAPIT, and the other one is ADIA Pass, two separate platforms. First, you need to know what you want. If you want to go for the last 2 years of your dental program, you apply for CAPIT. If you complete this program, you will be able to practice in all states of America. You don't have any restriction. But if you go for advanced education, you will have some restrictions. You will be only able to work in certain states. In my situation, I didn't want to go back to dental school. I wanted to go for Prosto. That's what I wanted since I was in Mexico. So I applied for PASS.
How many did you apply for?
I will say 20 programs, more than
Okay.
20
This
programs.
is super important for people to hear because I have people who come and say, I really want this school and I'm only going to apply to this school. Not a good idea.
No,
You're
I was
closing doors. I'm originally from Brazil and we have lots of beliefs, right? So if I only apply there, then the gods will be smiling on me and I will have a better chance. That's not how it works.
unfortunately not. It can happen, but just give yourself more opportunities. Don't
Right.
restrict yourself just to one program. Just
Mhm.
open your
Especially
horizons.
since the application might be the same, right? So you can
Yeah,
just add another university that will receive these materials. Mhm.
correct.
20 programs in Prosto.
Yes, Prosto and a few programs in AGD and GPR. Why that? Because it will give you experience, more training. If I would have gone to the AGD or the GPR after I complete the program, I would apply to the Prosto again.
Prosto was the end goal. Mhm.
Yeah, I did this because it's complicated, super competitive. 100 people applying for one program. And there are just two spots, three spots, six spots for some universities. Just open your horizons, apply to more schools.
Sometimes we forget that these programs in the United States are attracting people from all over the world, right?
Yes, all programs are competitive. All programs have requirements. Just figure out what you want.
Mhm. So you knew you wanted that. Did you apply and get in? Was it a straightforward process or was there a delay?
There was a
This is
delay. When I was in California, I cleared the test. I learned a little bit of English. Experience is extremely important here in the States.
Yes.
So I decided that I wanted to have some experience. So I get the license as a registered dental assistant in Texas. It's a possibility without going to the school. Some other states allow you to work as a dental assistant without any education. So one of this is Wisconsin. Yes,
Everybody I know thinks about Florida, but this is possible in other states in the US as well.
Yes. And I wanted to practice my English. So the Midwest has less population, Spanish speakers. And
That's
I
an
moved to
excellent
Wisconsin.
move. That's how I learned my English in the Midwest. There was
Yes.
nobody who spoke Portuguese around me, and I had to
So,
learn it very quickly. Good
yes.
move.
I stayed in Wisconsin working as a dental assistant for a year. At the same time, I was trying to find more ways in which I can get more experience. And also Florida is an state that allow you to work as a hygienist without going back to the school. So if you clear your national board dental test. There is a practical and theoretical test that will allow you to earn the license.
That's a level up from the assistant, right?
Correct. Being a hygienist provides you the opportunity to have your own patients, more opportunity to practice, to gain more experience, and you get paid a little more. Everything is about investment. So you need to save a little money, and working as a hygienist is a good career. There is a high demand of hygienists right now. So you will find a job super easy. I was in Wisconsin, I got my license, I applied for some jobs, I got the interview Wednesday, they called me the same day offering me the job, and then I had to move as quick as possible.
And I can tell you from a patient's perspective, if I want to do a cleaning in the community health center, it might take me 6 months to get an appointment in Massachusetts. So that tells you how eager people are to have the services when somebody does show up who is qualified to be a dental hygienist.
Correct.
Yeah.
So we're in high demand.
So all of this was in the service of increasing your experience and your chances, right? I want people to understand that it's a long process. You don't decide one day and then you apply and then you're in. You were building your curriculum.
Correct.
Right?
You gotta be consistent. You gotta understand that it's a process, that it's not the final stop.
Right.
It's something that you had to do in order to get to the point that you want.
Right. Yeah.
I didn't have any problem. I had the opportunity to see patients. I was working with scanners, doing temporary crowns.
That was good.
You get practice. You get practice. You're not a dentist, but you are working in dentistry, which is at the same time. I also applied for some programs because I passed my test. I had a decent score in the TOEFL test, so I applied the first year, and all the documents, my statement of purpose, my curriculum, everything was by myself. So I went to 2 interviews. I was lucky enough, so I went to the University of Michigan for Prosto that year.
Wow.
It was
huge.
Yes. Unfortunately, I didn't got accepted in that one. And I went for another interview same year for a HD. I didn't get the position, but that fail didn't stop me to keep pursuing what I want. Then I make my move to Florida. I got my license to apply local anesthesia. So gaining experience, working. I also started preparing myself to apply again. That's when you came into the equation.
Were you pretty clear? I'm just going to apply again, or did you ever deal with doubts?
No.
Good.
No. I knew what I want. I wanted Prost. It took me 10 years. I will get to Prost.
Yes.
I also applied for a GPR. Going to a GPR or HD will allow you to get a license in the States. I was trying to figure out different ways to the point that I want.
Yeah.
You will fail. If not, congratulations. But it's not the story for every single doctor applying to a program coming from another country. Usually, it's really competitive. You have to figure it out how to make yourself stand out from the rest.
Yeah, yeah. Is this the time where maybe we can talk about how you stood out and what you accomplished in terms of the competition and where you got accepted? I meant to begin the interview with that information. You did end up getting into the program you wanted.
Yes.
What is the program and when do you begin? And what was the competition?
I completed my applications. You helped me. We need to talk about it. We really need to talk about it. You helped me a lot. But let's talk about the program. I got several interviews. This time I went for 3 interviews. I went for 1 interview here in Miami for an AGD program, and then went for a GPR in West Virginia for Marshall University, great program. And I went also to the University of West Virginia in Prosto. And it's extremely competitive.
How many spots do they have?
Just 2 spots. Just 2 spots. I mean,
you got one of them.
Yeah, there was a lot of people applying from all over, international, national, people with a lot of experience. I think one of the things that helped me, and I'll have to mention it, sometimes when we are writing our curriculum or our statement, when you come from another country and try to write in English, probably you won't be as good writing these things down as you will write into your native language. So you had the ideas probably in your native language to express, but when you write it down in English, probably you're not using the specific words that will make this statement more appealing to the people reading it. I think we discussed this when I contact you. I ask you for your help. I need to improve my documents, my curriculum, my statement of purpose. And you said you have all the ideas, everything is here, but we need to make some modifications. We need to make this look more appealing to the people that will read it. I think that was a great move that helped me a lot to get into the program. Also, the interview, you helped me to prepare for the interview, which was great too. The fact that you helped me and we were practicing some questions, I think that also has a great impact on the outcome.
What I do is that cultural calibration, right?
Yes.
The potential in what you already have, and now let's see how can we present this. I remember very clearly that we began the letter of intent, the statement of purpose, with you as a child working in the field at 10 years of age and having that choice given by your dad, right? You can continue here helping me out the rest of your life, or come September, you go back to school.
Correct.
And you go like, oh, thank God, it's school time. I'm out of here. It's hot. I'm going back to the classroom, right?
Correct.
That story, first, it's moving, right? To just imagine that child.
Yeah.
Experiencing the intensive labor in the field and then having school. But then also helped us tell a story about how you relate to knowledge, to academics, that it's something that you really cherish from an early age. And my question for you is, do you think that telling that story was something valuable for the reader? Did that come up at all?
Yeah. I remember when we were having the interview with the director of the program, we were discussing about it. I read your statement, it's really appealing. You have that desire of becoming better. As she said, I can see your discipline. I can see that you're following the steps, step by step. So we state that I've been working super hard since I was a kid and I keep doing it. That was something that came into the conversation during the interview. Yes.
Because these schools are really looking for who you are as a human, right? The entirety of you, not just as a student, but what you value. In other countries, it's just taking an exam and it's the score that matters.
We come from Latin America. We have that idea that our grades will open up the doors of every single school. When you come to the state, it's a confluence of different factors that will get you into the program. The application is a confluence of your grades, your statement, your CV, all the things that you have done. It's not just about the grades. It's also about your story as a person, where you're coming from, what values you have, how do you behave.
Yeah, and the interview is just that last piece, right? Where they get to see this in practice. I know the interview, at least in West Virginia, was very intense.
It was super intense. It was,
and then you had to wait for the result. We had to wait.
We had to wait. I cannot forget the experience. They called me, they sent me an email after we reviewed your documentation, your application. We invited you for an interview. There was 3 mini interviews. One was with the residents. The other one was with doctors from the university, and then the main director of the program.
In person in one day?
No, this one was via Zoom. That was a good advantage. I didn't have to go all the way over there. But I was with the doctors, with the team that was interviewing me the whole day. It was a group of 6 doctors. I think some were international and some were national. In my situation, I had the first interview with the director of the program. Tell me about yourself. It's one of the main questions that every single program asks. What are you going to say with that question? So many things that you can say, but as we discussed, you don't want to overwhelm the people interviewing you. You just have to be specific, straightforward, and the words you're going to say has to have meaning. So that's what I did. I was extremely specific.
You did not tell them you were one of 8 siblings, you grew up in this town. That's not what they wanted to hear.
No, they will be super specific. They ask me this first question, then we move forward about my experience, what made me move from my native country to the States, what made me pursue prosto. So I complete this first interview, then I move with the other doctors that were interviewing me. They also asked me specific questions about my experience. And then at the end, we were interacting with the residents. They also decide which person is
Yes,
going to
absolutely.
get
It's
into the
not just
program.
for looks. They really do have a role.
Yeah, so I complete the interview. It was a complete day. It was really intense, but I enjoy it a lot. I feel confident. We practice a lot. I practice a lot, and I feel confident about it.
2 spots.
Only
How,
2 spots,
how many
and
people, do you know how many applied?
a lot. I just know that it was a lot.
What do you think made a difference in your acceptance when they were sitting down and comparing those 6 candidates? What do you think made you stand out?
I think what has a good impact was my statement telling about my story. They saw that I was extremely dedicated to what I want. They even asked me, what if you don't get into the program? What are you gonna do?
How did you answer that?
It doesn't matter what happened. I will keep trying until I get into prosto. I will find a way to get into prosto.
Nice.
And that was it. They saw that I have a little bit of experience in prosto, Mexico, and I think my statement of purpose was one of the main things that, because even the professor mentioned it, like, your story is appealing to me. I will not forget this. She said, you're not one of the most qualified candidate to this program, but we decided to interview for the things that you have done. So you're being super consistent.
Wow.
It was like, oh, that humbles you.
Like, how do you take that, right?
My statement was one thing, the fact that I had experience in prosto was another. Also, you had to be willing to learn. You're not going to the program to teach your way or change things. You have to be willing to be humble, to learn, and they had to see that you have that desire to learn.
What I'm hearing you say, there's a fine line between showing your qualifications and also saying,
They know your qualifications because they have your resume. So you don't have to overwhelm them with all the things that you have done. You have to have that desire of, I want to learn. I want to get
how
into
did
this.
you show that to them?
Because they asked me why I decided to get prosto. Everything that I have done in these years was because I want this.
Yes.
It took me 3-4 years to get into this program, but it's what I want.
You did show it when I think about your story. Coming to the US, not speaking English, remaining even when it would have been easier to go home, and then not getting accepted 1 year and continuing. An American will not buy it if you just say, I'm persistent. Oh yeah?
No,
Show me.
no. How?
And your story shows it, right? You provide the
Correct.
evidence. You have the evidence in your history.
Yes.
And now tell me about the moment you got the news, you called me, and that was such
I call everybody. So after the interview, you had to wait. These programs participate in a platform called Match. It's another platform that help the programs get the candidates that they want. And also that helps you to rank the programs that you want from the most desired program to the last one. You had to read about it to be able to understand it. So you had to make your list. Of course, that I wanted to go to Prosto, so I said West Virginia as my first option. I knew the day they will release the results. I receive it in the morning. I'm not gonna see it. I'm not gonna see it. I'll wait until I get home because I'm gonna freak out if something happens here. It's not the most ideal place to receive a news like
either
that.
way, it would have been, it would have moved you tremendously, right?
I was prepared for the worst, but not for the best. It was so funny. I was about to see my first patient. I had to wait a little bit because it was not showing up. And I was like, should I see it or not? Should I see it or not? Fine, I will see it. And I opened the email and I just saw the word congratulations. And I was like, oops. It was intense. The TOEFL test, the national boards, the
Excellent.
experience working as an assistant. Like, my gosh,
You did it.
I did it. I was speechless, and I got one of those two spots.
Yeah. Beautiful. Especially the clear vision you had from the beginning. You knew what you wanted.
Yeah.
And
I'm not gonna lie. Some days it was like, should I go back to Mexico? Should I do my specialty there? And just, but I
forget
mean,
about this.
yeah, but I was already here. Some people are just craving this opportunity. Yeah,
Beautiful.
we did it. A lot of people out there helping to understand the path. You don't have to do it alone. Try to find those people. I found you. You helped me a lot.
I'm just so proud of you.
For the people out there, just Florida is a good state. It will provide you with the option of being as a hygienist.
But first go to Wisconsin, go to the Midwest to practice your English.
Learn English. Learn English is the key. You gotta go where you can frustrate yourself a little bit, like
frustrate,
struggle.
Yeah,
Because
struggle, exactly.
in that way, it converts into a necessity. It's like, you have to.
That's a really good piece of advice. Actually, is there anything else you think people who are just beginning this path should know? I mean, you just said, don't be afraid of struggling, right? Of failing.
The complete process will be super stressful, so just get used to. Just get used to it. It's always a fight. It's always a battle. And if you don't know English at all, so just start with that. And if you have to work, find a job where you only will speak English. Forget about Spanish, forget about Portuguese, forget about your native language. Just try to immerse into the culture, into a job that will make you need that language. And then find which path you want to follow. If you want to go for a habit, go back to the school, or if you want to pursue a advanced education. This has pros and cons. This one has pros and cons.
The beginning of the journey is to make that decision.
For me, it was easy to decide because I'm single. I don't have kids. So I could move from California to Wisconsin, Wisconsin to Florida. So yes.
Yes. So I'm so proud of you, Salvador. And it was really a great pleasure to accompany you in this journey.
I will say thank you. You helped me a lot. And it was great working with you. You know a lot about this process. The core of it, getting into the interview, writing your documents, like pristine, and have everything structured. Thank you. You helped me a lot.
It was a great pleasure. So we'll wait to hear your story as you are in the program. Maybe in the future you can tell us a little bit about how that's going.
For sure. For sure I will.